Welcome to the Inside Silverstone podcast, a business-focused podcast covering all things tech, engineering and innovation. Hosted by me, Chris Broome, a huge tech, motorsport and gaming fan, and also the owner of Longhurst, a firm of lifestyle financial planners and independent financial advisors located in Silverstone, Northamptonshire. This is a series of unscripted and unpolished conversations with leading business owners, thought leaders and high-tech talent where we discuss their experiences within the Silverstone business and motorsport region. We will also be asking them to share their knowledge, insight and their thoughts on the future just for you. If you're looking to learn more about the Silverstone high growth region and commercially connect with like-minded peers, you've definitely come to the right place. Welcome to Inside Silverstone. Welcome to the next edition of Inside Silverstone. My name is Chris Broome and I am your host. Today I am delighted to finally welcome onto the show, many months of trying to get you on, Sally. I know you've been very busy. Sally Reynolds, who is the CEO of Silverstone Heritage and also the CEO and the brains and the power behind the Silverstone Experience, which is a phenomenal museum based on Silverstone Park next to the Silverstone circuit. Sally, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on, Chris. I'm glad to be here at last.
Delighted. And clearly, I say you've been busy. COVID for all of us has been a bit of a sideswipe. No doubt it's been very busy for you guys as well, trying to get things ready. I saw today that you guys have reopened today. So the date today is the 3rd or the 4th. It's the 3rd of December. So how's it gone? How's the summer been?
Well, it's been a roller coaster of a ride this year, as you can imagine. We had finally had our official royal launch in March, which is a particular highlight. Not to take anything away from Prince Harry, but having Lewis Hamilton here was so special. And he did a fantastic job. I think he genuinely enjoyed the exhibition. He was brilliant at talking to the children. He did a fantastic speech at the end. We finished the day on a high, and then 10 days later closed for COVID.
Boom.
So what we are getting good at is opening, because we opened in October, we had a royal opening in March, we opened again in July, and then we've opened again today. So if you ever need any advice on how to open a visitor attraction, come to us.
Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. And obviously Prince Harry was there as well. Was Meghan there, or did she stay away?
No, she stayed away. It was one of Prince Harry's last engagements, and I'd like to think that all the paparazzi were here for us and our brilliant museum, but I think it might have been a little bit to do with Harry, but all to the good. I had a friend phone me up from Australia to say I'd just been on telly in Australia. And as I said, I think the Harry factor might have helped with that.
All PR is good PR, right? So,
yeah. And
he
was our royal patron because he supports our charitable aims. And he wanted to keep that engagement. So it was really good to have him here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And he's always been very good, hasn't he? Harry with supporting all the causes that he, his brother, and obviously his mother prior. So, so for those that aren't aware of, the Silverstone Heritage and also the Silverstone Experience, people might not have heard of it. So let's sort of take a step back. So the Silverstone Heritage is what? What's the mission that you guys are on, and what is the Silverstone Experience?
Well, the best way to describe it is an interactive museum, but there's always problems around the word museum, because people can think that's a bit stuffy. But what we pride ourselves on is we have lots of interactives. So as well as an amazing array of cars and bikes that take their heritage back to, they've done something amazing at Silverstone. We also have lots of buttons to press, films to watch, shows to experience. So it's much more than a museum, but it's hard, for people who haven't been here, it's hard to explain, but it is, I think the best way to say is it's an interactive motorsport museum. But we tell the story of not just the motorsport, it's the exhibition is based around the corner names. So we explain why the corners at Silverstone have their names. And so grateful to the people who've been in charge of the circuit since 1948, because they haven't named the corners after people. They're all about parts of history.
Yeah.
So that's what the exhibition's based on. And the original circuit layout is on the ceiling,
nice.
LED lights, and the current circuit is on the ground floor marked out. And as I said, the exhibition loosely follows that. But to go back a little bit, I came to Silverstone in 2011, so it'll be 10 years ago in February, which I can hardly believe.
Wow.
I came from Legoland. My background is visitor attractions. And I came here to look at what Silverstone could do to expand the offer, to make sure visitors were coming all year round, and that it wasn't just for race fans, that we actually managed to appeal to a wider audience to help the business. But it became apparent, the more I looked into it, the more research we did, what a fantastic story Silverstone is. And you can trace it back to the monks of Luffield Abbey. There was a Saxon burial mound, and I'm glad to say it wasn't Silverstone that got rid of that. That was the RAF when they came here towards the end of the Second World War and set up RAF Silverstone. But also, we were originally part of the Stowe estate. So the landscape was designed by Capability Brown. So for those of you who work around here, the big oak tree outside the front of our building and all the oak trees were part of the Northampton Ride, which runs between the village all the way to Stowe House and is AAA heritage classification according to historians. So there are these amazing stories, and those are just some of the landscape stories and the history, but the people behind it. The monks of Luffield Abbey were quite naughty. And we tell that story. But also the RAF history here was amazing. There were 4,500 aircrew trained at Silverstone. So when you arrive, the first thing you see when you come in the door is one of Lewis's show cars from a few years ago hanging in the atrium, so it has the theatre. But visitors actually go up the stairs and they enter the exhibition on the first floor. And they really go on a journey through the history around the corner names. But going back to my point about us not being a stuffy museum, the first thing you do is you get taken back in time on a grid. So you enter a dark room, you line up on a grid, and there's cars on either side of you through the ages. And I won't tell you too much, because anyone who hasn't been, there are some surprises in there. But at the end, you get launched into the exhibition. And the first thing you see is a view downstairs to where all the cars and bikes are before we take people off on a journey around the experience. So we start off with an exhibition that explains why the corners have their names, and then you'll find yourself watching a few cartoonish films about those naughty monks I mentioned before. And we have a crawl through tunnel. There is, we don't know whether it's a myth, because we have found some evidence of tunnels between Luffield and the other side of the circuit, but we actually have recreated a crawl through tunnel because it was believed the monks escaped to Beckett's when they were under attack.
Okay.
So children crawl through that tunnel. We have a lily pond or a carp pond. I think there is still a carp pond at Silverstone near the BRDC farm that was put there by the monks in the 1300s. Then we get onto a section about RAF Silverstone, and this really gets to the essence of what we love about our exhibition is that it's the stories that we tell. There are so many amazing people who involved in motorsport who had, I suppose, an amazing war record, and we tell the stories of people like Tony Rolt, who, if you've ever seen the film, you'd probably be on at Christmas, it nearly always is, Escape from Colditz.
Yeah.
Raced cars and had won trophies before World War II. He escaped from that many prison camps in Nazi Germany that eventually put him in Colditz, and it's him who came up with the glider. He then came out, escaped, got home, and then invented the 4x4 racing engine, became chairman of the BRDC. That's just one life, and there are a lot of him. So we tell those stories. Then we get on to explain how Silverstone became a racetrack. We talk about some of the amazing, funny stories of the boys from Stowe School used to break in and effectively race cars around the circuit and get chased off. The first ever Grand Prix, or the first ever race that happened, the Mutton Grand Prix, which ended when someone killed a sheep. The original circuit layout, we show the footage of the first race. We have an amazing replica of an ERA that people can sit in. And then for anyone who lives locally, they'll know that a lot of the circuit or the activity that happened outside of the races happened in the local pubs. So we actually have a pub. Sadly, we're not allowed to serve beer, although I'm sure it could be arranged, but where we talk about the role of village. So of course, based on Village Corner,
yeah,
and why the people of Silverstone are so important to the story. We tell the stories of a lady called Ivy Cakebread, who worked here and sold tickets here. Liz Zettel, who is over 100, still alive, worked here at the first Grand Prix. Frank Newton, who was the original doctor. The story of the elephant, Don't know whether you know, there was an elephant at Silverstone. They called Sauce, who used to plough the fields in the winter. We recreate various bits of footage using ERA showing how they used to race towards each other on the runways. That's just the upstairs, and it would take you about 40 minutes average person. Some people can spend a lot longer. Then visitors carry on their journey downstairs. Now we have decades of motor racing where we have lots of cars and bikes. My particular favourite is Barry Sheen's bike from 1979, where he famously raced against Kenny Roberts. And that was the story that when we did some research before we opened the museum that most people wanted to hear about. Barry Sheen's helmet, which has a little hole screwed in it so that he could smoke when he was on the grid. So we also have Lady Christabel Watson used to race minis here, and she had some specially made overalls from, so she didn't look like a man. She had some nice Chanel style overalls. We have those in a display case. But then within those decades, we also have Nigel Mansell's Red 5, massive favourite. We currently have a Racing Point show car. We did have Lewis's car here for a lot of the time last year. We have Mark Webber's Red Bull from 2011 when he got out and famously said not bad for number 2, slightly grumpy, as you'll probably remember.
Yep.
So we have Lewis's helmet that he won from the championship he won. You'll see from when he did the opening here that he lent us that helmet. And we're hoping to get some of his current overalls or his overalls from this year to have on display.
That'd be good.
But then if you ask me, apart from my favourite exhibit, my favourite area of the exhibition is the Tech Lab.
So what's that?
That is an area where we explain the science and engineering behind motor racing. And it is core to our mission, which is, as well as looking after the heritage of British motor racing, and Silverstone in particular, and telling those amazing stories, it is also about helping inspire the next generation of engineers. So we all know there's a shortage of engineers in this country.
Yep.
There are lots of schemes and people trying to get people to understand the importance of science, technology, engineering and maths. But what better industry, what could be more exciting than going to work in high performance engineering and in motor racing? And we want children and their parents and other adults to understand all the jobs and careers and things that they could do. So we explain basic principles of how an engine works. So there's one display, you press buttons and it just explains the very basics, but then next to it is the hybrid Mercedes racing engine, which I think looks great. Some people stare at it for hours. We have our own wind tunnel to explain the principles of downforce next to a bit of Lewis's car. And that area is so important. And had not for COVID, we would have attracted tens of thousands of school children on formal school visits.
Yeah.
Hopefully in 2021, they'll come back. But we are a charity. So we have a dual role. We're a great day out, enjoyable visitor attraction. But at the same time, we want people to go away understanding more about maths and engineering and celebrating something that the UK are really good at. We all know about the cluster and everything else, but that's what we're showcasing. We're telling everyone who visits what a great job is done in this area in terms of motor racing engineering.
And the good thing is there's lots of people and famous motor folk come into this, haven't they? So at launch, but also, whilst it was allowed to be open, I've been watching and seeing on Twitter, You've got a number of drivers have been coming up and checking the place out, past and present.
A highlight for this year, when things had been really bad, was when we had the phone call from Channel 4 saying, could they possibly use us as a studio for their F1 coverage? And Steve Jones describing us as achingly cool was one of the highlights, or probably the highlight.
Achingly cool.
Achingly cool from Steve Jones, who isn't so bad himself. So that was a good day. And obviously having Davey Coulthard and Mark Webber here, unfortunately we have their cars are next to each other in the display, which created some degree of rivalry. So that was absolutely brilliant. As you said, we do get lots of the drivers pop in when they can.
Yeah, and also film crews from time to time. I've driven past the front and seen, I think it was Channel 4 or whoever, there was a film, a number of film crews or news crews outside the front. So yeah, it's a fantastic spot. And are you guys doing anything special for Christmas? Because I know that the Silverstone Circuit are doing a
Lapland.
a drive around event.
Yeah, we're really excited about Lapland. It'll be brilliant. I mean, I know there's a lot of work going on at the moment, getting all the lights in place and the displays. So what we've done is we've extended our opening hours so that the Lapland visitors can come and visit us as well. We've got a children's Christmas trail. Our Christmas tray went up this week. There's some nice festive food in the cafe. So yeah, we'll be open every day except Christmas Day.
Wow. Okay. And then onwards into 2021, and hoping that this vaccination and some more optimism comes in, and the government are a bit.
We've had lots of praise. When we opened again on July the 20th, and the reviews we've had since then have been awesome because people have really appreciated. We're a big space. We're originally a World War II Wellington bomber hangar, so there's plenty of space. We've put lots of COVID measures in place. So hand sanitizer absolutely everywhere, and we give people styluses so they don't have to touch. That was our biggest challenge. How can people press the buttons and touch screens?
Yeah.
So we have spent quite a lot of money in China buying these little styluses.
I think we've all spent quite a lot of money in China.
And we've had so much praise for our COVID measures. So you can generally, we're not crowded, so people have plenty of space, and to see the reviews afterwards when people are just so happy to get out and do something.
Yes.
So hopefully we can do that for people over Christmas as well.
Brilliant. Before we get on to the last couple of questions, is there anything that we haven't covered off? Anything that you want to sort of shout about and talk about whilst we've got you on?
I didn't mention the ultimate lap at the end.
Yeah, tell us about the ultimate lap.
Well, we know that everyone would really like to actually drive around the circuit that comes to Silverstone. So what we did is we recreated a 360 degree effectively virtual lap, and then mapped the heritage vehicles onto it. So at one moment you can be riding next to Barry Sheen. Next minute Nigel Mansell goes past you with Senna on his bonnet. And it was partly commentated by Murray Walker and Martin Brundle and Crofty. So that's a real highlight at the end. And as with all good visitor attractions, after doing the ultimate lap of Silverstone, you can actually exit through the gift shop.
Of course, standard gift shop. Yeah.
And then the other thing I should mention we do have for Christmas is we have actually got an F1 simulator in that people can have a book into over the Christmas period. And then we have some heritage simulators coming, so people will actually be able to feel what it was like to drive the Red 5 round the circuit.
Wow.
So that's good for 21. So,
wow, that'd be amazing. And so what we'll do in the show notes for everyone listening and watching this is, so in the show notes will be links to Silverstone Experience, so you can obviously go onto the website and obviously book through the website directly, yeah?
Yeah, you can book tickets, and everyone has to book now so that we can make sure everyone comes in batches and is suitably socially distanced. So yeah.
Sure. And part of the premise of the Silverstone Experience is to try and attract and build, an attraction in the middle of England, right? So we've got obviously all these other resorts, some of which you've been part of, from Paramount to Lego. We've obviously north of us, we've got Alton Towers. So the part of this entire exercise, not just for Silverstone Experience, but for Silverstone Circuit, is to create an area for people to come, right? So
exactly, it's that idea of you say motorsport resort, in that if people are staying overnight when the hotel opens, or other accommodation in the area, if they stay overnight, they'll spend more, and it's brilliant for the visitor economy and creates more. So the multiplier effect of that is fantastic. So absolutely, and we're part of that. Northamptonshire / Buckinghamshire, like so many shires, people drive through them going to other places, and you need that sort of sticky content to get people to stay, and hopefully we're helping towards that.
No, I think you definitely are. And just quickly, because for those that are actually watching this as a video, can you just tilt your camera? Let's see what you're overlooking. So
yeah, it might have gone a bit dark, but hold on. There we go. There's one of the things we're talking about, and Luffield Corner.
An office with a view, right?
Yep, I hire it out. We're a charity for money. If anyone wants to come and sit in my office and look out the window, just give me.
Very good. I think I might take you up on that. Right, Sally, last two questions. So the first question is over COVID. So let's pretend it's 2021. We've all had our vaccinations, or whenever we've been allowed them. What are you personally looking forward to doing the most that perhaps you can't do at the moment?
Oh, good question. Probably go on holiday. Just go somewhere.
Yeah.
Quite looking forward to my kids going out more as well. Hopefully they're not. I don't mean that. But yeah, going on holiday, or just going and sitting in a pub or a restaurant, or all of that.
Just doing some normal stuff, right?
Yeah.
And not being stopped.
Yeah, just being with people again.
Yeah, no, agreed. That's the most common answer we've had during the COVID catch-up series. So all very normal. Right, last question, Sally. And this question, Sally, is going to be probably the most challenging question you've ever been asked in your career. I've spent decades learning, sitting exams, learning off gurus around the world to come up with this very one question that seems to have gone down very well during this COVID catch-up series. I'm going to give it a drum roll. What is the king, or indeed queen, of crisps?
It's a bacon wheat crunchy.
Nice. Great flavour. Great crisp.
Oh.
We haven't had that.
Yeah, it's the best. It's actually a passion for a crisp I share with my colleague Rob Janer, who also works as a marshal here. And occasionally, if I'm having a bad day, I will find a packet of bacon wheat crunches on my desk.
Oh,
which is really nice. And I return the favour. But they're just a lovely crisp.
He's a good sort. He's a keeper, him. He's definitely. Need colleagues like that drop off food parcels every now and again when you're having a bad day.
Exactly.
Sally, thank you. I'm delighted we finally got you on the show. I know you've been really, really busy, so thank you for giving us some time and coming on. Everybody listening and watching this, we need to support and go and visit the Silverstone Experience. It's phenomenal. Have a great family day out. Take the kids, take your in-laws, take whoever. It's, as I said, in the heart of Silverstone. It's in the heart of British motorsport. It's a beautiful location. It's surrounded by countryside and fields. What's not great about that? So, Sally, thank you very much for coming on. I wish you a great end of year, a great and successful Christmas with the experience, and look forward to catching up with you in due time.
Brilliant. Thanks for having me on, Chris.
The Inside Silverstone podcast is produced by the team at Longhurst for the benefit of those with a passion for all things tech, engineering and innovation. For more information, please visit longhurst.co.uk/Inside Silverstone, whilst also remembering to give us a 5 out of 5 star rating on iTunes. Please note that neither Chris Broome or Longhurst work for Silverstone Park, Silverstone Circuit or Silverstone Technology Cluster.